where a local high school is getting ready for the next big storm. Always good to be prepared, Chris.
That's right, and that is the lesson that was well learned coming out of last week's storms. You know, we're very fortunate here in the St. Louis area, despite the fact that we had 10 or more tornadoes touch down in pretty much the immediate metro area, or at least within our region. We had very few significant injuries, and at least in the metro St. Louis area, no fatalities reported as a result of those storms. Now, one of the biggest concerns for emergency managers here in St. Louis and really across the country is the same type of system, a big tornado striking a school full of students. That's why here at Fox High School they are teaming up with the Rock Community Fire Protection District to conduct a big mock tornado disaster so that if a storm like the one you're seeing that hit Fort Leonard Wood, that's the Fort Leonard Wood tornado, if something like that hit here at Fox High School, students here would know what to do.
Curious, is this drill, is this just sort of good timing, or are they holding this because of last week's storm?
It is good reaction. They did not have anything formally planned, at least in terms of tornado, but in talking with the folks at the Rock Fire District, they said, you know, this is a great teachable moment, if you will. We've got people's attention thinking about tornadoes. Let's use that as the backdrop for one of their somewhat regularly scheduled emergency response drills that they do here at the high school.
So what kind of training will the students get today?
Well, they're going to go through a whole SERT process. What's going to happen is they're going to show up, they're going to go through a debrief, and then around 8:30 or so, they're going to have a mock EF3 tornado hit a loaded gymnasium as if it were a basketball game. The students are going to go in, they're going to take kids through the triage process, they're going to take a look at the injuries, they'll ascertain, you know, who needs to go first, who needs to go where, and give basic initial first aid, all of course with the guidance of fire and rescue personnel.
I would imagine a lot of schools are going to be doing the very same thing. Thank you, Chris. Chris Higgins live this morning.
All right.
Monica, let's get a check of those roadways at 5:38. So what should you do if you're caught in a tornado? Fox 2 meteorologist Chris Higgins is live in Arnold this morning, where a local high school is gearing up for what's turning out to be a very timely disaster drill. Good morning, Chris.
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. You know, coming out of the tornado disaster last week here in the St. Louis area, we actually have to count ourselves very lucky. No serious injuries here to deal with and no fatalities, at least not in the metro St. Louis area. And for emergency managers, one of the biggest fears is that a similar type tornado is going to hit a packed school during school hours. And one such incident did take place back in 2007 when a big tornado struck Enterprise High School in Alabama. 8 students were killed in that storm by the tornado, countless injuries. It was a major disaster, and that is what they are planning for here, at least preparing for here at Fox High School today. Joining me now is Ron Harder. He's with Rock Community Fire District. And Ron, is this just good planning or lucky planning, or is this a teachable moment that you're capitalizing on?
Well, Chris, actually it's always a teachable moment when it comes to teaching students about being prepared. And that is the key word. We want the students to be prepared in the event of a disaster. We have approximately 9 schools in our fire district that are Teen SERT, our student emergency response teams, if you will. And they're trained by Rock Community firefighters to stand ready in the event of a tornado, an earthquake, man-made or natural disasters. We teach them to be ready to do search and rescue, put out small fires, and to take care of injured students in the aftermath of a disaster.
What are they going to be specifically going through today? What's the course? What's the objective today?
This is going to be one of our monthly drills that we do in our schools. Today it's going to be the scenario of an F3 tornado that has struck the gym during a volleyball game. We're going to activate the team, and they're going to come in, they're going to take care of injured students, part of the drama team, and they're going to actually take care of the injuries and triage, which means sorting out the injuries into critical and into walking wounded.
Now, something I think is important for them to take out of this as well is that, you know, I guess this is the type of training that's, you know, we're using the tornado. You guys are using the tornado as the backdrop, but it can be used elsewhere also.
Absolutely. We have one of the students that actually saved her grandma's life last year, about the training that she learned here in the Teen SERT program. She was actually able to do an airway maneuver and actually save her grandma's life until paramedics arrived. And when they asked her where she learned that, she said, "I learned that at Teen SERT."
Well, Ron, I appreciate it. We'll talk more with you and can't wait to get in and get the exercise underway a little later this morning. Appreciate it. It just goes to show you, nobody knows when they may be called on to be the first responder if you just happen to be in the wrong place at the right time. Reporting live in Arnold, Chris Higgins, Fox 2 News.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. Not a tornado, but a lack of heat.
Operation Homefront continue to collect donations to help the victims there, and there is information on how to donate. It's under the Seen on TV section at fox2now.com. You know, and it all reminds us when we look at that destruction that these storms are so violent and
so quick,
and you can never prepare enough.
But you know what? Preparation, I think, was the key in saving lives in this. Fox 2 meteorologist Chris Higgins is live in Arnold this morning, where a local high school is gearing up for a timely disaster drill. Yeah, just in time. Not bad to remind folks.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we found out tornadoes can hit any time of year, any time of day or night here in the St. Louis area. That point driven home by those tornadoes. We're very lucky that we only had minor injuries from a storm like that in the immediate metro St. Louis area. And now, emergency managers have long been afraid of a situation of the same type of tornado hitting a metro area while the school is in session and actually hitting a school filled with students. That very same thing actually did happen a couple of years ago, back in 2007, when a tornado hit Enterprise High School in Alabama. That EF4 tornado killed 8 of the students and injured dozens more. And it's because of scenes like that and because of what happened last week here in St. Louis that we are here outside of Fox High School right now. And joining me right now is Ron Harder with the Rock Community Fire District. The van behind me says SERT with a C. That means Community Emergency Response, but you're doing SERT with an S. Tell me about that.
That is correct. We're going to do what's called the Student Emergency Response Team, which is an affiliate of the Community Emergency Response Team for our schools. We have 9 teams in our middle and high schools that are set up here in the Rock Community Fire Protection District, and we teach the students to be prepared in the event of a natural or man-made disaster that could easily overwhelm first responders. We're going to be depending on these teams to be ready to jump into action, if you will, to start taking care of injured students. In the beginning of the school year, they're trained in a full two-day training class, and we teach them how to think outside the box, if you will, to start taking care of students, whether they would be trapped students, injured students, how to sort them out, how to set up an incident command system, and how to keep track of all the injured students.
Now, some of the our disaster today is going to be a fake natural disaster with an EF3 tornado hitting the gym. These are some of the tools that we're looking at. Come on over here and step over here on this side with me, if you will, and take me through what some of the equipment is that some of the things you're going to teach real quickly.
Well, thinking outside the box, we're going to have them use some of this equipment. We're going to have this soft backboard, which is going to act as a gym mat. Yes, this is going to act as a gym mat, because in a disaster, they're not going to have these backboards with them. They're going to have to think outside that box. So they're going to use this as a fake gym mat to try to move students, get them into their triage area, sorting out. They're going to use these backboards. They're going to resemble a door or maybe a piece of plywood. In their training, they're taught how to shut off the main gas lines here in the school. So the students are taught that. They're also taught how to shut off a lot of the electrical equipment that may compromise in an injured situation.
So there's a lot of things people could come across in a natural disaster that these kids need to be ready for. We're running short on time right now, but the natural disaster, this one we can plan for sure, is going to start a little later this morning in about a little over an hour and 20 minutes. We're going to be here to cover it live and bring it to you right here on Fox 2. Reporting live in Arnold, Chris Higgins, Fox 2 News.
All right.
They all serve as a good reminder that this area can see tornadoes any time of the year.
Fox 2's Chris Higgins is live in Arnold this morning, where local high school students are getting ready for the next big storm. Right, Chris?
That's right, guys. You know, we were very lucky coming out of the big tornado outbreak last week to have avoided any major injuries or even fatalities in the St. Louis area. But emergency managers have been long concerned about a similar type storm, same strength, same size, moving into a metro area and hitting, for instance, a school that's filled with students and what would follow after that. And that's actually a scenario that really did happen back in March of 2007. Take a look at the video. This was Enterprise High School in Enterprise, Alabama, struck by an F4 tornado, killed 8 of the students and injured countless others. But as you know, one of the things that saved a lot of folks there was the fact that there were emergency personnel on scene almost immediately after that. Now, one of the things that storms like that and the storm that hit St. Louis drives home is that, you know, very often the first responders to a disaster, whether it's man-made or a natural disaster, are the very victims themselves, and that's what they're preparing for here at Fox High School in Arnold. The students here are right now going through their debrief leading up to their big mock disaster, which in this case is going to be an EF3 tornado striking the gymnasium full of spectators waiting for a volleyball game. Now, what Officer Harding is reviewing right now is going through the triage procedure, where they're going to take people who are injured, how they're going to categorize the critical injuries versus the walking wounded, if you will, and he's reviewing the procedures that they use to go through it so that they are ready in case, God forbid, a New Year's Eve type tornado strikes a school, their school, during school hours or during a school activity. Now, an important thing to point out, and that we've been trying to push all morning long, is that it's, you know, we're training in a school environment, but some of these kids could have to use this type of training anywhere. You know, if they're in a car wreck or if they come up on a car wreck or an accident somewhere. You know, this is the type of training that can be used anywhere, not just during natural disasters. But coming up in about 30 or 40 minutes, they're going to begin the disaster scenario here at Fox High School. We will be here to bring it to you live. Watch these students go through the steps and go through the process as they go through some very life-changing, perhaps, events here at Fox High School. Reporting live in Arnold, Chris Higgins, Fox 2 News.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. You know, today's high school students could be tomorrow's emergency responders, so
we're not sure on injuries. Also, for those 270 eastbound drivers approaching Lindbergh, an accident in the left lane and also one at the southbound 170 ramp. That backup in 270 eastbound area is at McDonald.
All right, Monica, thank you. Last week's violent storms serve as a good reminder that this area can see tornadoes any time of the year.
Fox 2 meteorologist Chris Higgins joining us in Arnold right now, where a local high school is getting ready for the next big storm. Tell us about it, Chris.
Yeah, guys, I'm live at Fox High School down in Arnold, and you know, they are here doing a mock tornado disaster. It's a scenario that emergency managers have worried about for ages, a large tornado on the ground headed towards a school filled with students, and that's what they're preparing for here at Fox High School. They are in here right now, students with the SERT Team, that's the Student Emergency Response Team. They're the ones who are training as the first responders, filling the gap between the actual tornado event and the arrival of emergency crews. Now, the scenario here is an EF3 tornado on the ground has now hit the school and hit the gymnasium. It's a crowded gym during a volleyball game. These are the students that are going through their preparations. They're now on the scene. They're going through the steps that they would go through in the event that this would happen. They're doing their preparations and debrief as they would be arriving on the scene. Now, Ray, if you'll come back out here with me, those are the students who are going to be going in as the rescuers, but in order to do a rescue, you must have those being rescued, and that would be the victims down the hallway here, down towards the gymnasium. As you see these guys go, they've now been released. The tornado has hit. They are heading down the hallway. The first team's on the way. They are going down to where the drama class has been set up as the storm victims. The drama class on the floor. They've got all sorts of mock injuries. We've got broken bones. We've got gashes and slashes. You have people who are simply the walking wounded. And we also have fatalities involved here. And these students are being trained to go in as first responders, to be the bridge, if you will, between the actual event and when emergency crews do finally arrive. You know, it's very often that during a disaster that the first responders themselves are actually some of the victims. They're the ones on the scene when the tornado or the disaster occurs, and they need to know firsthand what to do in order to bridge that gap to get the more seriously wounded into position for when the emergency crews arrive. We were going to take a closer look at the triage process that these kids are learning, coming up in a live report at 9 a.m. Reporting live in Arnold, Chris Higgins, Fox 2 News.
All right, Chris, thank you for that report. And unusual.
We're waiting to hear more from St. Louis Police. That's the latest in South City. We're near Holly Hills. I'm Michelle Anselmo.
Well, last week's tornadoes remind us just how violent storms can be. Fox 2 meteorologist Chris Higgins live in Arnold this morning, where a local high school is gearing up for a pretty timely disaster drill. I would say so, Chris.
Yeah, and you know, the good thing here is obviously this is a drill and not the real thing, but they're going to be ready in case of the real thing. Now, we're in the middle of the drill right now here at Fox High School. They have moved most of the folks who were involved, the injured and the dead, from the scene of the destruction down at the end of the hallway. The scene here was an EF3 tornado hitting the gymnasium filled with fans and players for a volleyball game. This is the area that the student emergency response team has established as their triage area, and you can see they're lined up tending to the various degrees of wounded. Joining me right now is Ron Harder with the Rock Community Fire Protection District. Ron, you're running the drill here. Take us through the triage process and what the kids are doing here today.
Well, Chris, this is our student emergency response team here, and actually after the tornado, after they were also safe, they went in and are starting what's called triage, which is a French word meaning to sort out. And they actually set up an incident command system, very similar that we do as incident commanders on a fire ground scene. And actually what they'll do is they'll categorize these injured students in different areas. We've got the red area, or the immediate, where students are very critically injured that have to be right by an exit way.
That's the area that we're looking at right here.
This is the red area. They've also got another area over here that's a yellow area marked by the yellow tape, and that's delayed. That would be those with fractures of the arms, of the extremities, and some of them, as you see this one right here in yellow, suddenly is turned sour and going into the red. He's starting to have some breathing difficulties, so they're trained now to take that student and move them from the yellow into the immediate. Over here we have the walking wounded also, and out here we have our morgue. So you can see they're trained to monitor these students all the time.
Now, you know, in a situation like this, you know, this is a drill, but these kids are facing very real possibilities of very serious injuries, but also the possibility there could be fatalities involved here too. How do you train these kids to be ready for that kind of a graphic event? We
have what's called disaster psychology that we do go over in their training, because this is going to be very traumatic. Some of them may break down during this, seeing their fellow students that might be deceased or trapped or injured. So what we do is we teach them disaster psychology, and we teach them when they do get them have a morgue area set up to be very respectful and to take that morgue area and keep those injured students away from these students.
And this is stuff they can take away from here too. There are actually people involved here who've taken this and gone elsewhere and used this practical experience to help loved ones as well.
Absolutely. We have Kirsten over here. Kirsten?
We're going to have to. We'll catch Kristen afterwards. We got to wrap it up. But
absolutely, yeah, she's actually saved her grandma's life with the training she learned here.
Yeah, very important stuff. Well, that's the very latest from out here in Arnold at Fox High School. I'm meteorologist Chris Higgins. Back to you.
All right, some good stuff, Chris.